you something from Brian Windhorst first, from First Take, before you give me the answer. Here's Windy on Giannis and his future.
What Giannis wants will be most important. Yes, I can sit here and show you the San Antonio Spurs assets, that they have other picks and that they have good young players. I can talk about what happens in the lottery tonight, like what happens if Houston Rockets, who actually own the Phoenix Suns pick, what happens if they jump into the top 4. But really it's going to come down to, does Giannis have a spot that he wants to be directed to? Okay, so we are on Sportsmanlike, presented by Progressive Insurance, and here's what we're doing here. With Giannis, the best landing spot. We talked, that was before the lottery. Dallas has to at least be an option. Doesn't mean you think they're going to trade the number 1 pick. It would mean that maybe they have the ammo to get Giannis if he is to be moved. Or if the Milwaukee Bucks, and we have not heard that they are going to do this, would say, you know what? Screw it. We're going to actually make the call and not wait for one to come in. We're not going to do what I'll critique Miami. Miami waited thinking it could work it out. Well, if they made the proactive call last summer, they get more for Jimmy Butler and none of the drama happens. That can be cold, and Jimmy did not do as much for Miami as Giannis did for Milwaukee, obviously.
But in today's NBA,
you may have to be. Dallas is a team that you call if you're Milwaukee. What team is Giannis on next year?
I don't know what team he's going to be on. I know the team I want to see, and that's the San Antonio Spurs.
Ooh.
I am fascinated by what it would look like with Giannis and Wemby in the lineup together. I think that would be all kinds of intriguing. If you're the San Antonio Spurs, are you really going to give a max contract extension to De'Aaron Fox?
No.
Probably not. So maybe you could utilize De'Aaron Fox plus the number 2 overall pick.
Keep going.
I mean, you would have to add more to
14. They have 14 too, so
yeah, add more to it. 14. I mean, whatever machinations, whatever package you would have to put together. But I love a package in principle that you would have to put together for Giannis if you're the Spurs that starts with De'Aaron Fox and the number 2 overall pick this year. Now, I would try to hold on to Steph Castle. I like that. I like that piece to go along with Giannis and Wemby. But I am absolutely fascinated by what that would look like with their new head coach, Mitch Johnson. I think that would be awesome.
I love that one. Why don't we stay in the state of Texas? What about the Houston Rockets?
Go ahead.
You have a young team who has had success, obviously a playoff team, but they're still missing that next step. You have a coach in Ime Udoka who can coach at a high level and get the best out of people. We've heard the reports about how smart Giannis is business-wise, and he's aware of the state income taxes in Texas, or lack thereof. I mean, imagine Giannis going to Houston with some of those young pieces that they have. That would be fascinating.
So this is where it gets interesting. Houston has a bunch of young pieces, bunch of picks. What they don't have is the high-level pick this year that doesn't include giving up Cooper Flagg. Because you can make the argument that if San Antonio got the number 1 pick, they may not have done it for Giannis, but if they get the number 2 pick, which they did, it's easier to say, all right, let's play ball. Right? De'Aaron Fox makes about, let's call it $17 million less than Giannis, so there's still a gap.
Throwing Keldon Johnson.
Yep, and I like him. He's good.
I like Keldon Johnson too. I think he's a good player. But if that means I can get Giannis.
Here's the interesting thing for the Bucks. If you were to do that and you get 2 and 14, and you need at least 2 more picks, I think. I want to get to probably around 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I now have 4 or 5 picks. I'm going to call Utah and give them one of them to take Dame for their 3 expiring contracts that equals 60. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to be loaded with picks, and I'm going to field a competitive team this year that's not going to win a championship, but it's not going to embarrass me. I'm going to be a play-in team. I'm going to hover. I'm not going to be a joke. You do not want to be what we've seen is if you intend to be a joke, the joke's on you because you don't get the number 1 pick. Atlanta was not a joke last year, and they got the number 1 pick. Dallas, the trade was a joke. The effort was not a joke, right? Utah, Charlotte, Washington, these teams at times were trying to be a joke during the course of the season. If you're Milwaukee, there are ways of doing this if you have to trade Giannis, because my bet is still he's on Milwaukee next year. That's still my bet. If you have to do it, and San Antonio is his preferred choice, San Antonio is willing to give you the most, you could field a competitive team next year that is a playoff-ish team, and you replenish your picks, and then you're calling New Orleans to maybe get some of your picks back. Like, there are ways of doing this where you don't have to be a joke, and you could be set up for the future. And, oh, by the way, what if the number 2 pick, whether it's Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey, what if they're really good?
What if they pop? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, San Antonio is really interesting. You have to ask for Steph Castle. You have to.
You have to ask for it. I just wouldn't want to give it up. I mean, if that
Neither would I.
Here's the thing. if it ends up being Steph Castle, then the number 2 pick is off the board. Like, I don't want to give up both.
So I'm giving you 14 no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm giving you 2 to 3 additional ones no matter what.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, for me, if I'm San Antonio, I'm going to be good. You can have the 25th pick in the draft.
Yeah,
you can have the 28th pick. I don't care at that point. I have Giannis. If Milwaukee is forced to make a trade, there's a trade to be had there. There's a trade to be had there. The Smalls, the only issue I have with yours, if I'm going to play like mock GM on both sides here, the only issue I have with yours is you're only giving me 10 this year. Mm-hmm. That's not exciting to me. And when I ask you for Amen Thompson, you're not going to give him to me.
No.
So at least when San Antonio says no to Steph Castle, I'm getting 2.
You're getting the second overall pick.
Yeah. You can replenish.
Houston not doing that well in the lottery, I think could throw this off a little bit, unless they're willing to give up everything and just kind of restart this just with him as the centerpiece. Okay, well, the
whole point for Giannis is to be in a better situation.
Yeah, to win.
Which Houston wouldn't be at that point.
They wouldn't be at that point.
I just want to throw out one other thing.
Just Giannis and Wemby in the same front court?
Disgusting.
How do you... What?
It'd be so fun to watch.
The only one, Ware and Adebayo, the only 2 that can stop. The other thing I'm going to throw out there, I'm not ruling out Dallas trading the number 1 pick, because if anyone wants to say, no, they wouldn't make a crazy trade, you're crazy. I don't think...
Not trading Cooper Flag.
You're not trading Luka. I think that the problem is...
Okay.
Both of them, though?
You're not going to trade both of them in less than a calendar year. It's not going to happen.
I think we're too focused on the honest part. I'd call Phoenix, too. I want Booker. I want Durant.
You want Booker for what?
The number 1 pick. And Durant.
Man, hell
I want all of it. I want all of it.
No.
Give me it all.
No.
Well, you guys have Giannis not picking Wisconsin. I still have him picking Wisconsin of next year, which begs a lot of questions about the future of this Boston Celtics team, how they look moving forward, whether or not the contracts that they are going to and the players that they are going to move off of potentially because of all the second apron rules could include, dare I ask, Jaylen Brown. I don't assume so, but conversations, Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, that's for later. For now, obviously... Terrible moment for Jason Tatum, who was awesome last night. And then after that, you got the Wolves going up 3-1 against the Warriors. Anthony Edwards with 30. Julius Randle, who may be the best player in the playoffs so far. He's been awesome so far in the postseason. 31 points last night. They win 117-110. And now it's looking like Steph may not play again in this series because we may not get to a Game 6. Jimmy Butler, 14 points on 5 of 9 shooting from the floor. Only 4 of 5 from the free throw line. Jimmy's only taken 25 free throws in this series, which tells you he's not attacking in the way that he is normally used to. And obviously not getting the calls the way in which he has fought for in the past. Okay, that's a lot.
Good job, Ab. You ran through all those headlines.
The number 1 story coming out of yesterday in the NBA was what? Well,
for me, it's Tatum's
Tatum.
injury.
An obviously heartfelt moment. We feel terrible for him. But when you're thinking of that, I know you're thinking of him first and foremost, but are you thinking the decade run of the Celtics here? Is that is that the visual end to it?
Well, I think that's why that one rises above the rest for me, because it's the immediacy and the future. It's the Knicks being up 3-1 versus the defending champs, Boston Celtics. Say what you want. Their best player, the guy who a lot of this stuff runs through, is likely out for the series. And we think that they have much less of a chance to come back and win this series and win this whole thing if Jason Tatum's not out on the floor. So we're discussing the impact, the residue of that injury and that loss last night. Now, moving forward, we already knew the Boston Celtics were going to, because of financial reasons, look a lot different moving forward. And if Jason Tatum, if this injury is severe and his season next year is compromised to a huge extent and they're not contenders, how deep could this financial cut go for the Boston Celtics? Are we looking at a squad that we thought could go on a dynastic run, be one and done when it comes to championships because of the moves they're going to have to make?
Yeah, I see why you went that direction, and obviously the fallout from last night's game and the gravity of the potential injury that the Boston Celtics are going to have to reckon with is going to be front and center in our minds. But y'all, we are talking about the death of a dynasty with the Golden State Warriors. Draymond Green said it a couple months ago that they were going to win the championship after the Jimmy Butler trade. They're not going to get out of the second round. They're not. And there's a strong likelihood that that team is going to look different going into the next season. I don't know what the Golden State Warriors are going to do with Draymond Green moving forward. It feels like it's time that they're moving on from him. Feels like it. Now, they could decide, you know what, he's going to be a lifelong Warrior. We're not going to let him play anywhere else. It's going to be him and Steph Curry riding off in the sunset together. That could be what they decide to do. But to be clear about one thing, they would be doing that for nostalgia reasons, not for basketball reasons. Then there's the Jimmy Butler of it all. They just gave him an extension after they traded for him. Ev, you've been pounding the table saying that they need to trade Jimmy Butler. We got a timeline on when they could trade Jimmy Butler?
So I was just doing some math here with my calculator. So they could August 6th is when they could trade him. They got him for moments like the last few games. He has not been normal playoff Jimmy. With Jimmy Butler, historically, you want to have him on the front end and not the back end. And when you said death of a dynasty, they only got to the second round. The math I was doing is with Miami this year, they were 13-12. Okay? It's a 52% winning percentage. If you project that out over the whole season, let's say that they would have ended up as a 4 or 5 seed. He could have gotten to the second round with Miami.
Let it go, Ev.
No, I'm saying.
God,
no, hold on. Hear me out on this. Hear me out on this.
It's okay.
Hear me out on this.
Oh, my God.
What I'm saying to you is.
Go full Elsa, will you?
He would have gotten the extension in Miami if he played through and went there. He went to Golden State, and he accepted that trade ultimately because of what Draymond said.